Fever front office is about to do another roster overhaul for the 2026 WNBA season.
With 8 players gone, the entire balance of power inside the Fever locker room completely shifted overnight. For the first time since Caitlin Clark arrived in Indiana, the dynamic feels unmistakably centered around her, not just as a scorer, but as the absolute franchise cornerstone everything revolves around. The veterans who once controlled the tempo, set the tone, and even ran the locker room hierarchy are mostly gone. What's left is a team explicitly built to follow Clark's lead without question. Kelsey Mitchell now stands as one of the very few holdovers with both seniority and genuine respect. After years of carrying this franchise through painful losing seasons, she's proven her loyalty and toughness beyond any doubt. Her chemistry with Clark noticeably improved toward the end of the season, especially as both players finally found their rhythm sharing the backcourt. Insiders say the front office views Mitchell as a critical anchor, a veteran presence who can both mentor younger players and adapt seamlessly to a faster, more fluid offensive system. She's expected to play a massive role in guiding the young core forward and keeping everything stable during this seismic transition. Then there's Aliyah Boston, the quiet enforcer who does her work without all the noise. Boston's consistency, both on and off the court, made her completely untouchable during this entire roster overhaul. Together with Clark, she forms the rock-solid foundation of the franchise's future for years to come. The front office reportedly sees them as the dual faces of Indiana moving forward. Clark is the spark that ignites everything, and Boston is the steady force that holds it all together. That's exactly why almost every single personnel move is now designed specifically to enhance their partnership, surrounding them with shooters, screen setters, and reliable defenders who can actually keep up with their pace. But not everyone is thrilled about this new order taking over. Some remaining players have quietly expressed concern that the team's identity is being completely swallowed by Clark's massive spotlight. Others question whether management is putting far too much pressure on one player, too soon in her career. Caitlin's popularity has literally transformed the Fever from a struggling small market team into one of the league's biggest draws overnight. That kind of attention comes with its own unique set of challenges most players never have to confront. Every game she plays, every comment she makes, every decision she's involved in gets magnified under an intense microscope. But still, the message from the top is absolutely firm and clear. This is Caitlin's team now. Period. Front office executives have reportedly held multiple meetings stressing complete alignment, meaning coaches, players, and staff must all operate in perfect unison with this new vision they're building. One source described the whole thing as a reset, not a rebuild, an important distinction. In other words, anyone who doesn't buy into this direction and commit fully won't last very long in Indiana. It's that simple. Inside practice, there's already a noticeable difference in the atmosphere. The energy feels lighter, more positive. The pace is quicker and more up-tempo, and the offense flows far more fluidly than before. Teammates are learning to move off Clark's instincts and reads rather than waiting around for drawn-out plays to be called from the sideline. Yes, it's messy at times. There are mistakes and confusion, but it's real progress, and for the first time in years, there's a genuine belief inside that building that this team could actually become a legitimate contender. But power always comes with a price, and the pressure on Clark, White, and the entire front office has never been higher. One wrong move, one ugly losing streak, and the same fans celebrating this bold new direction could turn on them devastatingly fast. The Fever cleaned house and made their big statement. But whether they cleaned it the right way and made the right calls remains to be seen over the next season.
I believe a lot of players will be exiting the building like Elvis, bruh. They got to get the hell out of Dodge. Now, I'm telling you right now, I believe more than half of this team is going to leave. I just got to keep it real. A lot of players is going to leave. I believe a few big names is probably going to leave. And more importantly, we need to get the ball back.
Behind every shocking roster decision lies one critical truth most fans completely overlook: the money. The Indiana Fever's front office didn't just clear players purely for performance reasons. They cleared serious salary space. By releasing 8 contracts all at once, the Fever freed up millions in cap room, a move that reshapes absolutely everything heading into the 2026 season. This wasn't just about basketball decisions and system fit. It was about forging real financial flexibility in a league where every single dollar dictates what you can do. The Fever's payroll had ballooned with mid-tier contracts offering painfully little return on investment. Veterans like Natasha Howard and Aerial Powers brought experience, sure, but also hefty price tags. Both looked decent on paper, but neither elevated the team to championship contention when it truly mattered. Sources say the front office grew increasingly frustrated watching large chunks of salary vanish into players who weren't delivering consistent results night after night. Cutting ties was harsh and difficult, no doubt, but it gave Indiana the vital room they desperately needed to chase higher impact talent this offseason. And, more critically, players who actually complement Caitlin Clark's game instead of working against it. It's no secret that Clark has completely transformed the business side of the Fever organization. Ticket sales skyrocketed, primetime TV slots dramatically increased, and merchandise sales shattered every franchise record. The front office understands that as long as she's on the roster, the Fever are a premium product fans will pay to see, which raises the stakes even higher. Ownership wants to capitalize on this unprecedented momentum while it lasts, because windows like this don't stay open forever. This rebuild isn't just athletic and strategic. It's deeply financial. Every contract they sign, every endorsement deal, and every partnership moving forward must align perfectly with maximizing this era. Kelly Crosscuff, one of the Fever's key executives, has reportedly been the driving force behind this entire financial reset. Her strategy is surprisingly simple. Surround Clark with low-cost, high-IQ players who can stretch the floor, knock down open shots, and buy into a modern offensive system without demanding max contracts. The Fever want shooters who move constantly without the ball, veterans willing to take less for a real shot at a winning culture, and younger players hungry for opportunity. Think Iowa on steroids, but built within a realistic budget that won't handcuff the franchise for years. This is where the Fever might have found a new competitive edge. While other WNBA franchises overspend chasing super teams, Indiana is quietly building a sustainable foundation, a roster that fits together both stylistically and financially without creating long-term problems. They want long-term control over their future, not short-term hype that fades. Still, not everyone applauds this aggressive approach. Some agents have publicly criticized the Fever for being too aggressive, arguing it sends a terrible message about loyalty. But to the front office, loyalty alone doesn't win championships. Smart structure does. They're betting everything that disciplined spending and smarter roster construction will turn the Fever into a perennial contender rather than a one-year wonder. These moves weren't about cutting players who didn't perform. They were about cutting costs and cutting excuses at the same time. The Fever's message is loud and incredibly clear. If you can't deliver real value on the court or make sense on the balance sheet, you won't be part of this new era. Because from here on out, everything in Indiana runs through two things: Caitlin Clark and the bottom line. But with the roster gutted, the next target of this revolution was already dangerously uncertain.
No one predicted them to go this far, especially without Caitlin Clark. Now, granted, they was projected to be, final contenders, but that was with the roster that they had. Obviously, they had a whole nother roster, and like I keep telling y'all, momentum was the key.
The moment news hit that the Fever had released 8 players in one night, social media absolutely exploded. Within minutes, hashtags like #FeverPurge and #ClarkEra were trending across X and Instagram. Some fans hailed it as the boldest move in franchise history, while others accused the front office of completely losing control. The WNBA community hadn't seen a roster overhaul this dramatic in years, maybe ever. Absolutely everyone had an opinion, from professional analysts to former players to die-hard fans who'd suffered through every painful losing season. For Caitlin Clark's supporters, this was pure validation of everything they'd been screaming. They argued the team had wasted far too much time trying to force Clark into a system that simply didn't suit her. "Let her cook!" became a rallying cry, echoing across comment sections and sports talk shows everywhere. Fans flooded message boards demanding the Fever adopt the fast-paced, free-flowing style that made Clark a household name back at Iowa. They wanted the old fire back, the deep logo threes, the ridiculous no-look passes, the fearless leadership that made her must-watch TV. But not everyone agreed with this radical direction. Critics accused the organization of caving to star power and hype. Some said the mass cuts were clear evidence the Fever were bowing to pressure from fans and big sponsors instead of trusting actual basketball judgment. Others pointed out that rebuilding around a single player, no matter how insanely talented, can seriously backfire if the chemistry doesn't work out. ESPN panels debated nonstop whether the Fever were forging a future dynasty or making a desperate gamble. One headline simply read, "Indiana's rebuild, genius or panic," which perfectly summed up the widespread division. Inside the locker room, reactions were starkly mixed. Players close to those released described the mood as somber but expected, a sense that everyone had seen it coming. A few shared emotional farewell posts, thanking teammates and hinting at behind-the-scenes frustrations. Meanwhile, younger players expressed genuine excitement for what was next, saying the team finally felt focused and united for the first time. It was a bittersweet balance, loss and hope completely intertwined. The media circus only intensified when fans noticed Clark herself had liked a few posts supporting the roster changes. That tiny digital gesture sent the internet into another absolute frenzy, with thousands of comments dissecting its meaning. Did she approve of the move? Did she finally take full ownership of the team's direction? Whether intentional or not, it cemented the narrative that Clark was now both the face and the real force behind Indiana's total transformation. TV networks wasted no time jumping all over the story. Talk shows debated for hours how this move would reshape the WNBA's power dynamics, especially as the league aggressively pushed for expansion and higher ratings. Suddenly, Indiana, once a struggling franchise nobody paid attention to, was dominating headlines and generating record online engagement. Love it or hate it, the Fever became the league's most talked about team overnight. Through all the chaos and noise, one thing is undeniable. This roster purge has reignited fan interest in a way the league desperately needed. The Fever might have lost 8 players, but they've gained something far bigger: relevance, intrigue, and the full, unblinking attention of the entire basketball world, watching their every move.
We all know Stephanie White was running a whole lot of sets, bro. Whole lot of sets, whole lot of off-ball things, whole lot of things that Caitlin Clark really don't like to do, bro. Let's just be honest. Caitlin Clark is being the biggest trooper for this damn basketball team. But I think, just like I stated before, go back to the basics.
As the dust settled from the mass roster cuts, one name kept circulating behind the scenes, over and over: head coach Stephanie White. Once praised for steadying a young, developing team, she now found herself squarely at the center of growing tension. Insiders say her relationship with the front office had quietly deteriorated over time, and the reason was brutally simple. Her system just didn't match the direction the Fever desperately wanted to take moving forward. White's structured play-by-play offense had its moment, but with Caitlin Clark at the helm, it felt shockingly outdated. Fans saw it. Analysts screamed it on TV. And now the front office had made it absolutely clear: change was coming, whether she liked it or not. White's supporters argued she was dealt an impossible hand: multiple injuries, constantly shifting rotations, and a roster still learning to mesh around a superstar made consistency an illusion. But her critics countered she flat out refused to adapt, stubbornly clinging to a rigid system that stifled creativity and bled the team dry of pace. Too often, the offense looked painfully predictable: a series of endless pick-and-rolls and isolation plays that forced Clark to operate within suffocating boundaries instead of playing on instinct. For a player who thrives on improvisation and reading the defense, it was a slow death. The breaking point reportedly came late in the season when internal meetings turned genuinely heated. Front office executives demanded a much more open offense, centered completely around Clark's decision-making. White, however, defended her approach, arguing the team simply wasn't ready for that kind of freedom yet. The disagreement spiraled into a quiet power struggle that defined the Fever's final stretch of games. After their playoff elimination, one source claimed management viewed the defeat as absolute proof that White's style couldn't get them over the hump when it mattered most. Players noticed the divide too. Some veterans sided with the coach, believing structure maintained order, but younger players privately voiced frustration, describing the offense as micromanaged and robotic. Caitlin Clark, ever the professional, chose her words carefully in public, but her body language screamed a different story. If you watched closely, you saw it on the court: the hesitation, the quick glances toward the bench, the moments where her natural flow was replaced by second-guessing. It was the look of a player holding herself back. Now, with 8 players gone and the roster completely reshaped, the spotlight turns fully on Stephanie White and her uncertain future. Whispers about a potential replacement are growing louder by the day, and the Fever's front office has reportedly begun quietly evaluating alternative coaching candidates who could bring in a more modern offensive identity, one that actually mirrors Clark's college success and plays to her strengths. Whether White gets one more season may depend entirely on her willingness to fundamentally change her approach. Because at this point, the message from management couldn't be any clearer: this franchise belongs to Caitlin Clark. If the head coach can't build around her the right way, the next announcement from Indiana might not be about a player leaving. It could very well be about Stephanie White packing her bags and heading out next.
Granted, they was running this off ball and doing all these different experiments. Without momentum, I don't believe they would have made it as far. I believe they was playing meaningful basketball just due to the amount of injuries that the team took, and it kind of motivated them. They said it in their exit interview. The bench power pretty much motivated them and gave them the energy they need to prolong and get through a bunch of them long stretches in the series.
Now that the storm has finally cleared, the Indiana Fever find themselves standing at a serious crossroads. With 8 players gone, tons of open cap space, and the spotlight brighter than it's ever been, this offseason could literally define the next decade of the franchise's future. The front office has one crystal clear goal: to build a team that not only fits Caitlin Clark's game perfectly, but also restores the Fever's identity as a legitimate powerhouse in the league. This is no longer a team searching for direction. It's a team aggressively rewriting its entire future. Insiders say the Fever's front office already has an aggressive plan in motion. They're targeting shooters who can thrive off Clark's passing, wings who can defend without slowing down the pace, and veteran leaders who understand how to win in high-pressure moments. One executive described the ideal roster as fast, fearless, and fluid, which honestly sounds amazing. The goal is to build a modern offense, center it completely around Clark's instincts, and Aliyah Boston's dominance in the paint, and expect the Fever to look completely different next season, both stylistically and emotionally. The coaching staff is reportedly under immense pressure to adopt a much more open, creative system, and practices are expected to focus heavily on movement, spacing, and red-based reactions rather than rigid play calling. It's a full cultural reset from top to bottom, and it's exactly what fans have been begging to see since Clark's arrival in Indiana. But it's not going to be easy. Rebuilds never are. Every bold move comes with real risks. It takes time, egos have to adjust, and expectations are sky high right now. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player. She's the face of the league's entire next generation. Every shot she takes, every loss the team endures, will be magnified under the national lens. If the Fever stumble out of the gate next season, critics will circle fast and start questioning everything. The front office knows that patience will be thin and the noise around the team will be absolutely deafening. But still, there's something undeniably electric about what's happening in Indiana right now. Fans are buying tickets again. Merchandise is flying off shelves. And for the first time in years, the Fever have something the WNBA can't manufacture: genuine anticipation and excitement. The combination of Clark's star power, Boston's solid foundation, and a fresh roster built for speed could turn this team into must-watch television every single night. This isn't just a rebuild. It's a full-on revolution happening in real time. The Fever have cleared out the old guard, completely reshaped their vision, and placed the entire future squarely in the hands of their young superstar. If they succeed, this off-season purge will be remembered as the exact moment Indiana rose from the ashes. But if it fails, it could become a cautionary tale about what happens when a franchise bets absolutely everything on one player, no matter what. Either way, the next chapter of Fever basketball won't be quiet. It'll be bold, unpredictable, and driven by a single mission: to make sure Caitlin Clark's era delivers everything the league and the fans have been waiting for.
Let's listen to what Caitlin Clark had to say years ago.
That's a huge reason why I came here, and that's what she preached to me in the recruiting process. You know, you're going to have the ball in your hands a lot, and I think a lot of my final schools kind of had that same look, but I think the read and react offense that we run was super important for myself. You know, you're making basketball reads. It's not a set. You're not being told what to do every single time you come down the floor. You're just playing the game you love.
When news broke that the Fever had released 8 players all at once, social media absolutely detonated. Fans scrambled for answers: who stayed, who got the axe, and why such a massive purge at the exact same time. Within an hour, names flooded online, and the pattern became chillingly clear. This wasn't some random act of desperation. It was a cold, hard statement. Every single player let go signaled a dramatic shift in philosophy, a thunderous message that the Fever were utterly done with mediocrity and half-hearted performances. Reports indicate the cuts began with bench players who failed to make consistent impacts. Players like Shea Petty and Dearest Dantas were among the first casualties. While they'd shown flashes of skill, injuries and maddening inconsistency plagued their seasons, the front office demanded reliability, not just untapped potential that might never blossom. Next came Natasha Howard, easily the biggest name on the list. Despite her championship pedigree, insiders say Howard's contract demands an uneven play sealed her fate. She wanted top dollar, but the Fever refused to invest that kind of cash in a player who didn't fit a system now built entirely around Clark and Aliyah Boston. Then arrived the real shockers that sent gasps across the league: Lexi Hull and Sydney Colson. Hull was a fan favorite and a solid defensive anchor, but the team couldn't justify her salary with declining production and growing injury concerns. Colson's release ignited fierce online debate. The veteran guard brought beloved leadership and locker room humor, but the front office craved youth, speed, and versatility, and her 2 points per game average simply couldn't justify another year. Ariel Power's departure was perhaps the most predictable. She struggled all season to find her role, and her fit alongside Caitlin Clark never clicked. The final names were Kadisha Stokes and Chloe Beebe, developmental pieces the team actually still liked. But when you're reshaping an entire roster from the ground up, sentiment takes a backseat to the brutal bigger vision. 8 players, gone in one night, and the move freed up significant cap space, giving the Fever financial flexibility they hadn't seen in years. Fans immediately exploded with speculation: shooters, lockdown defenders, experienced veterans who could actually complement Clark's tempo. But beneath the excitement, a somber truth lingered. These weren't just names on a spreadsheet. They were real casualties of a larger rebuild, one that demanded total buy-in to a completely new identity. Each exit carried its own story, a stark reminder that this isn't college ball anymore, where loyalty means something different. The Fever are moving fast, making hard decisions, and anyone not keeping pace will absolutely be left behind.
The style of play, and this is what I've been saying, we need to go back to the basics. And the basic is this style of play with Caitlin Clark, giving her the ball. Let her play freely, openly. Let her do what she do. No calling different sets going up the court. No doing none of this. Put players around Caitlin with that know how to obviously resets, know their responsibility, because Caitlin Clark said it hurt.
The Indiana Fever front office just detonated a bomb that sent shockwaves across the entire WNBA. Hours after a brutal playoff exit, they dropped 8 players in one night. Just like that. The league went into complete chaos. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. Insiders scrambled for answers, and rival coaches were caught completely off guard. What on earth could push a franchise to clean house with such ruthless speed? Was this some calculated master plan years in the making? Or a desperate, panic-fueled reaction to yet another disappointing season? One thing's chillingly clear. This isn't just about basketball anymore. Not even close. This is about egos clashing behind closed doors, power struggles in the front office, and an urgent race to build a championship team around Caitlin Clark before her window slams shut. Now that the dust is settling, everyone's asking the same questions. Who's staying? Who's next on the chopping block? And what does this all mean for the Fever's future? Because the real story behind these 8 cuts goes far deeper than anyone thought at first. And it all begins right here, inside an organization on the brink. When that final buzzer screamed, it wasn't just the end of the Fever's playoff run. It was the literal death of an entire era for this franchise. Inside that locker room, the tension was so thick you could carve it with a knife. Players who had spent the season grinding through injuries, rotation changes, and simmering internal drama suddenly realized their futures in Indiana were hanging by the thinnest of threads. The coaching staff barely spoke. The mood was suffocatingly heavy, and whispers began spreading before anyone even left the building that something monumental was about to go down. Sources close to the team now confirm the decision to release 8 players wasn't some snap judgment made overnight. This move had been brewing for weeks, boiling behind closed doors. Rumors of serious disagreements between the front office and head coach Stephanie White had been circulating for months, especially concerning playing time and escalating team chemistry issues. The Fever's late-season collapse laid bare every single weakness, from poor rotations to visible frustration between the veterans and the rookies. By the time their playoff elimination finally came, management had already decided what had to happen next. But the biggest problem wasn't just the roster. It was the entire system Caitlin Clark was forced into.
Bree Hall gone, Shea Petty gone, Natasha Howard gone, Bree Turner gone, Damster's gone, that's 5. Ariel Power, Sydney Colson. Hold on, Sydney Colson. And Damster's 8, yep. I believe they lose 8 players. This is just my prediction.
The Fever had poured absolutely everything into Caitlin Clark, the league's biggest star and undeniable marketing powerhouse. Yet, as the season dragged on, a haunting question echoed among fans. Why wasn't the team built around her strengths? Analysts repeatedly highlighted how the offense had drifted light years away from the fast, free-flowing system that transformed Clark into a college legend. Instead, it devolved into a rigid, structured mess, choked by forced sets, agonizingly slow ball movement, and lineups that simply made no sense. Clark, to her credit, tried her absolute best to adjust, playing the trooper, but the glaring lack of rhythm was impossible to ignore. By the final game, she looked utterly exhausted, burdened with carrying an unbearable load while desperately trying to fit into a system completely alien to her style. Then, on top of everything, came the relentless wave of injuries. One by one, key players went down, and the Fever's alarming lack of depth was brutally exposed. The front office began pointing fingers at coaching decisions, while players blamed conditioning programs. As losses piled up, the message became chillingly clear. Something had to change, and it had to change now. The Fever had zero intention of repeating another year of underachievement with one of basketball history's most hyped players on their roster. So, after the elimination, calls were being made before the sun even dared to rise. Agents were notified, lockers were cleared, and 8 players were told, just like that, they wouldn't be coming back. And this wasn't random. It was a brutal, calculated strike.